You may think you know your body well, but what if I told you that it hides secrets that most people have never imagined? There is an organ that was only discovered in 2019. You may be brushing your teeth the wrong way, and you may even be losing fat in ways that no one imagined. The human body is a machine full of surprises, and some of them will completely change the way you see your own biology. Want to know what your body does without you realizing it? Get ready, because what comes next may surprise you. The human body is still a mystery, even with all the technology and scientific advances. To give you an idea, it was only in 2019 that scientists discovered the interstitium, an organ that has always been there, but no one had noticed. This makes us wonder, how many other secrets does our own organism still hide? Curiosity about these discoveries brings us closer and closer to understanding this fascinating machine. Our body is like the universe, full of things that we think we know, but that still hold mysteries. The intestine, for example, was previously seen only as a digestive organ, but today we know that it influences emotions and even decisions. Small details can change everything we thought we knew about our biology, and new discoveries are being made all the time. Scientists continue to explore the human body like true astronomers of the organism. With each new study, we realize that there is much more going on inside us than we imagine. And speaking of things that seem good, but can be harmful, there is a daily habit that many people do without knowing the damage it can cause. Many people think that brushing your teeth vigorously will make your mouth cleaner, but the opposite is true. The enamel that protects your teeth can be worn down when you brush too hard, increasing your risk of tooth sensitivity and tooth decay. It's like trying to wash a delicate shirt by scrubbing too hard. Instead of cleaning it better, you end up damaging the fabric. Being knowledgeable about proper dental care can prevent problems that only show up years later. In addition to wearing down your enamel, brushing your teeth vigorously can damage your gums, causing gum recession and even exposing the root of your tooth, which can cause pain and discomfort. If your teeth seem longer over time, it could be a sign of this problem. The best approach is to use a soft bristled toothbrush and use gentle, massaging motions rather than aggressive scrubbing. It's not the strength that matters, it's the technique. A good tip to avoid overbrushing is to hold your toothbrush with 3 fingers, as if it were a paintbrush, instead of squeezing it with your whole hand. This naturally reduces pressure. Small habits make all the difference, and proper care can preserve your teeth for a lifetime. But what about the parts of the body that can regenerate quickly? What happens, for example, to neurons? For a long time, it was believed that neurons did not regenerate. But science has shown that, in fact, our brain has an impressive capacity for recovery. Some neurons can grow up to 5 millimeters per day, which is quite a feat for something so complex. This means that the brain is constantly remodeling itself, creating new connections and adapting to life's changes. Curiosity about this process can open doors to improving memory and learning. This power of regeneration is especially important after injuries or neurological diseases. There are cases in which people with brain damage relearn how to speak, walk, and even recover lost skills. The secret: stimulating the brain with new challenges. Learning a language, playing an instrument, or simply changing your routine are ways to encourage this regeneration. The more active the mind is, the stronger it will remain over time. But there is a detail. Just as the body needs exercise to stay healthy, the brain also needs to be stimulated so that these neurons can recover efficiently. A diet rich in omega-3, quality sleep, and cognitive activities help in this process. The brain is always evolving, but does the same apply to the human skeleton? Interestingly, some parts of our body may be disappearing over time. The human body is always changing, and evolution has not stopped. A curious example of this is our toes. Today, we hardly use them for balance, since our locomotion depends more on the sole of the foot. This raises an interesting question. Could we lose our toes in the future? Curiosity about this possibility has already led scientists to study how our bone structure might change over the next generations. If we look back at our ancestors, we will notice that their feet were much more adapted for gripping objects and climbing trees. Over time, as we began to walk on 2 legs and depended less on our toes for survival, they became smaller. Today, the big toe still plays an important role in balance, but the other 4 are increasingly less essential. Evolution tends to eliminate what is no longer useful. However, this process happens slowly, over thousands of years. Whether our toes will disappear completely or just get smaller is still unknown. But one thing is certain, our bodies continue to adapt to the environment. And speaking of parts of the body that go unnoticed, have you ever stopped to think about how often we blink and the importance of the eye muscles? We blink about 15,000 times a day, without even realizing it. It may seem like an insignificant detail, but this simple act is essential to keep our eyes hydrated, protected, and functioning properly. The most impressive thing is that the eyelid muscle is the fastest in the human body, contracting in fractions of a second. It is like an automatic reflex that ensures that our eyes do not dry out and are always ready to capture the world around us. The curiosity about this mechanism shows how efficient the body is without us having to think about it. In addition to keeping the eyes moist, blinking also works as a kind of break for the brain. Research indicates that, when we blink, the brain momentarily shuts down some areas, as if it were recharging. This explains why, when we are focused on something, we blink less. People who spend a lot of time in front of screens, for example, may feel dry eyes precisely because they forget to blink as often. The eye muscles are some of the most active in the body, constantly adjusting to keep vision sharp. They work tirelessly to focus at different distances, track moving objects, and adapt to light. It's incredible to think that something so small can have such an impact on our perception of the world. And speaking of little things that hold big secrets, did you know that we have more genetic similarities with other living beings than we imagine? It may seem strange, but humans share about 60% of their DNA with bananas. Yes, a fruit. This is because life on Earth evolved from a common ancestor, and many of the basic biological mechanisms are the same across species. Curiosity about these genetic connections helps us understand how we are linked to the rest of the living world and how evolution has shaped all beings over time. But it's not just bananas that we share genetic similarities. We share about 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees, our closest cousins, and up to 85% with mice. This explains why medical tests are often performed on rodents before being applied to humans. Small variations in the genetic code make all the difference, but the basics are surprisingly similar. It's like comparing cake recipes. By changing a few ingredients, the end result can be completely different. Understanding DNA helps us understand diseases, ancestry, and even predict future traits. With advances in science, we can now map an individual's genetic code to identify health risks and personalize treatments. But while genetics determine many things in our bodies, there's one thing that doesn't stay locked inside our cells: fat. And speaking of which, do you know where fat goes when we lose weight? When someone loses weight, where does the fat go? Many people believe that it is transformed into energy or that it turns into muscle, but the truth is quite different. Most of the fat is eliminated through breathing, being exhaled as carbon dioxide, CO2. In other words, we literally expel the extra pounds. The curiosity about this process shows how our body has intelligent mechanisms to get rid of excess fat. The process works like this. When exercising or reducing caloric intake, the body breaks down fat molecules to produce energy. During this breakdown, the carbon stored in the fat combines with the oxygen from breathing and is released as CO2. The rest turns into water, which is eliminated through sweat, urine, and even tears. This is why drinking plenty of water helps with weight loss. It facilitates the elimination of these residues. But be careful. Breathing more deeply will not make anyone lose weight faster. For this process to happen efficiently, it is necessary to move the body and create a caloric deficit. Aerobic exercise, like running and swimming, is great for burning fat, while strength training helps maintain muscle mass. Ultimately, understanding how your body works can completely transform the way you manage your health. Now that you've discovered these surprising facts about your body, the question remains, what else do we still don't know? Science is always revealing new mysteries, and understanding how the body works can change the way you take care of your health. Maybe it's time to pay more attention to the little details of your daily life, like how you brush your teeth, the importance of blinking, or even the impact of what you breathe. What surprised you the most? Did you ever imagine that losing weight was a matter of releasing fat into the air? Or that a simple blink plays such an important role? Share your opinion in the comments. And of course, if you want to continue learning incredible curiosities about the human body, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. After all, there's still a lot to discover about this fascinating machine we call the body.